Hello, everyone, and welcome to Keeping the Beat. We are so excited that you are joining us this evening, whether you're joining us on Facebook or on YouTube. Thank you for hopping on for just about a 1-hour discussion with some really incredible musical performances shared throughout. My name is Angelica Hairston. I am the founder and executive director of Challenge the Stats. We are an Atlanta-based organization that empowers BIPOC artists, Black, Indigenous, and people of color in the arts, and we use music as a tool for social justice. And we're thrilled to be the organization in residence at First Presbyterian Church of Atlanta this year. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to share and to really highlight some incredible leaders in our city, throughout our state, and really across the nation as well. So if you're hopping on with us today, again, this is Keeping the Beat. We're excited to have a virtual discussion today with some amazing leaders, artists, activists who are going to really give you all a treat this evening. At Challenge the Stats, we always want to start any event by acknowledging the land that we are on. And this stream is originating here in Decatur, my home in Decatur. And we acknowledge that this is Muskogee Creek land, and we honor the contributions of the Muskogee Creek peoples and their original stewardships of this land. And today is a part of a very special month, and that is Black Music Appreciation Month. And so we're so excited to really honor the ancestors who have come before to celebrate all of the amazing artists, activists, and leaders who have had a voice for change in our communities. A little bit about Black Music Appreciation Month. We know every day is a time to celebrate Black artists in our country. But in 1979, under the presidency of Jimmy Carter, Black Music Appreciation Month was established. And it was established to celebrate the Black musical influences that comprise an essential part of the United States national heritage. And today, leaders and artists from across the state of Georgia are coming to talk about what it means to really have a daily practice of celebrating Black artistry, what it means to celebrate it today, and what it means to celebrate it beyond just the month of June, which is Black Music Month. If you're hopping on with us, we want to encourage you to say hello. Please use the chat. Let us know where you're joining from. Let us know that you're here. If you have questions for our panelists, we want this to be an engaging time where we can really have a dialogue about what it means to celebrate the arts and specifically Black artistry during Black Music Month and beyond. And I'm very excited to welcome a wonderful friend, colleague, art supporter extraordinaire to the stage with me. He is serving as the Public Arts Coordinator for the City of East Point. Please welcome Chris Swain. Hey, Chris.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
I am great, and it is great to be here. We are here. We are celebrating. I am so thrilled, and I know that you are just one of the most amazing supporters of the arts that I have ever known. From the very beginning, I have seen how Chris has really been a part of leading discussions on celebrating our ancestors, celebrating who we are, and really taking that to the stage in East Point. So, Chris, I would love to invite you to share a little bit about your story and sort of how you got to where you are now in your role.
Wow. Okay, I would probably say it all began when I was a kid. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, of course. Being a native of Atlanta, and I'm also a part of the Atlanta public school system. Back then, the arts was a part of the programming for us as students. So Very often we found ourselves on field trips. So we found ourselves at the High Museum. We found ourselves at the Alliance Theater for Children's Theater, the zoo, the symphony. And what happened was these things were making an impact upon me and I had no idea. And somehow that was meshing with me growing up in a household filled with music. There was always music playing in the home. My mother sang, my father sang. So with that, that all came together. And fast forward, I developed this huge interest in the arts. And now I collect art, visual arts by different artists. I'm an avid African art collector. I travel a lot. I spend a lot of time on the continent of Africa, which informs a lot of what I appreciate and what I see in the arts, period. Not necessarily from an African aesthetic, but just from the professionalism and the passion for the arts themselves. And eventually I ended up with this job in the city of East Point, which is a wonderful thing. It gives me an opportunity to try to pass along to the youth and some adults what I got when I was a kid, because some people might have missed that thing, to learn the appreciation for the arts, to learn what the arts really are, that they aren't just an afterthought. They're everything. The arts encompass everything in our lives, and even down to the way our food is plated, the way your front yard is cut, the way you lay your clothes out to go to work the next day or wherever you go. Everything. The way there's art in everything you see. Art is the music that plays in the background of your favorite restaurant, and I just want everybody to recognize that and embrace the arts fully as just a way of life, because that's what they are for all of us. So I'm just here serving capacity with the City of East Point to try to share that passion and enthusiasm for the arts.
I love that. And I love how all of these, artistic influences really were a part of your youth, even, you're not even necessarily realizing it. All of that was being sort of soaked in to help you develop into who you are today and all the work that you do in East Point. And, I am curious, what makes the arts unique in the city of East Point? What would you say?
East Point is one of those cities that people really don't notice initially sometimes because it's a small city, so it's easy to pass through. Normally people pass through from Atlanta quickly through East Point, quickly through College Park, and they don't even notice because they're on their way to the airport. But East Point has a history of a nice artistic history of having artists that from our area who have prospered very well, like Kenan Thompson on Saturday Night Live. We pride ourselves on Outkast, Goody Mob. We have artists who are performing on Broadway right now. Sarangaja, people like that. East Point is the place, So we're just trying to we want everybody to recognize us and see us and know this is where these artists are from, and just to give us some credit for that. So it's a unique place to be, and I love it. It's great.
Absolutely. I love it. And we are so excited for an upcoming event. So for those who are listening and hopping on, we're so grateful that you're here today. And we hope that you'll also join us at our next event, which is happening July 17th on the greens outside at East Point City Hall. It is the first in-person concert that we are doing this season. And we cannot wait to continue to celebrate the arts in person and to really have that in-person experience this summer at East Point City Hall. So please join us there. Today we'll actually have artists who are a part of that performance. And one of those amazing artists is a musician, entrepreneur, teacher, arts leader in the city. He is Mr. Performing Arts, Chris Mosley, and we're so excited to welcome him. Hello, Chris. How are you? Oh, I think you might be muted. See if you can. There we go.
Good evening, everyone. I am doing great. How are you all?
Fabulous. And you are on the go. I love this. This is the real deal, right?
Oh, very much so. It's always on the go, always moving around. The life of an artist is never dull.
You've got that right, especially after the last year that we have had. The life of an artist is never dull. And Chris, you have such an interesting career, and I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey in the arts and how you ended up where you are today.
Well, A lot like Chris Swain, I myself have always been around music. I grew up always having music also played in my home. I am the only musician in my family, but definitely not the only music lover, as my grandmother is usually the catalyst for my passion for music, as she collected music seriously um, in my younger days. So much so that I like to tell people that my grandfather took out an insurance policy on all of the music and equipment that she had in her basement. So
Wow.
it was always a really big deal for our family just to be surrounded by music. And then when I hit the fourth grade, I decided that I would be pursuing an instrument. And when you try them all out, I was just kind of like, this one is really, I felt drawn to violin. And I've always been the type of child that enjoyed a challenge. So for most people, they say violin is the hardest instrument. So I was always like the kid, oh, it can't be that hard. Here, give it here, let me try it. And then it became my life. I absolutely loved it. And so I have not put it down since then. Well, I took a year off in fifth grade. So that was that. But since sixth, I have not put it down. I went on to become a member of the talent development program with the Atlanta Symphony when I was in high school, which is a program set up for young instrumentalists to really figure out what it's like and what it takes to be a professional musician. So I am grateful for the Atlanta Symphony to have afforded me that opportunity to really get the training that I needed to continue my education. I then went on to Georgia State, got a Bachelor of Music in Performance, and I decided that I wanted to offer the same education that I received to other people that looked like me. Because what I knew was not many African Americans thought that it was cool, if you will, to play violin or a string instrument in general. And not only did they not play, but those who did play often weren't afforded the opportunities that I was. So I found that I was sitting in orchestras or going on gigs and wanting so much more for my peers. And so education became kind of my pathway. I was always good at explaining things and breaking things down. So people always kind of put me in oh, you're a great teacher. And so I decided that I would take on a job at Tri-Cities High School in East Point. And I was orchestra director there for 5 years after I received my Master's of Arts in Teaching. And then after 5 years at Tri-Cities, I really found that I wanted to be more of an artist myself. Not just a teacher, but to go out and actually perform. One of the things that I did at Tri-Cities was I used to just, at lunch, I would just go down to the cafeteria, grab a stand and my instrument, and I would go play in the hallways, or I would roam around the building and just play, because I thought it was important for young African-American students to be exposed to the idea that it's not just, classical music. It's not that playing the violin or playing a musical instrument could open up so many more doors than they were aware. So after 5 years at teaching at Tri-Cities, I decided to start a business, MPA Productions, so that I could reach more children, because I felt like so many more students needed to see this. They needed to see a young African-American male playing violin, because I just knew it wasn't something that they believed was attainable. So I love being in schools and playing something in a hallway, and then kids turning a corner like, oh my God, where's this coming from? And then they see me like, what expecting that to be coming from you? Like, yeah, exactly. And I love that look on their faces. I always laugh to myself about it, because I think that those are the moments that change perspective. And so now I am a teaching artist. I'm on faculty at the University of West Georgia. I am a freelance violinist and a artistic director, if you will, curating concerts and shows that will expose even more people in our community to what we are capable of doing on string instruments. So.
Absolutely. I love it. And I love that idea of visibility being such a powerful tool. Black visibility, being on stage, playing your instrument in unexpected spaces, in unexpected styles, and that being a catalyst for someone else to realize, I think I can do that too. It is such a powerful, powerful thing. And I'm so excited to have you here and also to be able to share a little clip of some of the curation that you have done with the Tufton Tet. Will you tell us a little bit about that ensemble and what we'll hear today?
So the Tufton Tet was born out of my interactions with members of the Atlanta University Center Orchestra. So I started playing in that orchestra in 10th grade, and I've gained a lot of friends over those years. Excuse me. I gained a lot of friends over those years of being in the AUC orchestra. And so for myself and three others, Raphael Murden, Reginald Wallace, and Orlando Walker, decided that we would continue our journey after that orchestra of playing together. And the Tufton Tet was born because we wanted there to be a different narrative of what Black men did and what they were capable of doing. And so we started working together, putting music together that we thought would be interesting for people to see. And this clip that you will see is our first concert of the series on the 7th, featuring the Tufton Tet. And so I left it open as a tet. So sometimes we're quartet, sometimes we're quintet, sometimes we're non-tet, which is what you will see now. This is the Tufton Tet playing Who Can I Run To by another East Point native.
Love it. Fantastic. So here is the Tufton Tet. Yes. We love to see these Black men playing together in solidarity. It is a beautiful image. And so excited to have you as part of this discussion. And our last but not least panelist, I'm so thrilled to welcome in is Tambra Harris, who is the artistic director of the incredible all-female African drum, dance, and vocal ensemble, Giwayen Mata. Welcome, Tambra.
Thank you, Angelica. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It is such a joy. And I think you have such an interesting story that I would love for people to hear more about. Will you share a little bit about your story of how you came to be where you are now?
Giwayen Mata wise, right? I can talk
right
about dancing. So I was in college at Clark Atlanta. Felton Edie was my professor, my literature professor there. And this is an important part of the story because Mr. Edie loves to tell people that he's the reason why I am in Giwayen Mata. And he is right, because he told me, here is a flyer. These women are auditioning. You should audition for this company. And I did. I had known Omiyale already for a couple of years. She was the artistic director, is our artistic director emerita and one of the founding members of Giwayen Mata. So I'd already known Omiyale, and it was just a perfectly wonderful fit. I auditioned in 1996 or 1997. The company was formed in 1993. So I've been around almost since the inception, not since the beginning, but definitely have spent my entire adult career as an artist with Giwayen Mata. Giwayen Mata is an all-sister dance, percussion, and vocal ensemble. It's a great place for me as a dancer to dive even deeper into dances, rhythms, and songs of the African diaspora. It's been a great place for me creatively to choreograph, to learn how to play drums, to learn how to compose rhythms, to learn how to learn the history of the dances and the rhythms, to learn chants, to sing in other languages, to get a glimpse into what other people are singing about and why, like why those things are important in those cultures. And the other day I was counting with a friend, with one of my company members. And I said, how many shows do you think that you've done for Giwayen Mata? And she was like, I don't know. And I said, whenever I try to count it up, like I end up in the thousands, right? And she was like, yeah. And so I was kind of estimating, like kind of averaging like 4 shows a month. That's average. Sometimes there was this one Black History Month. When I tell you we performed 29 times in 1 month, yeah, even 29 days. Right. So 4 is a nice low average, right? For every month, and multiplied that by 12 and multiplied that by 25, 26 years being in the company, and I did get to over 1,000 shows. It was like 1,200 shows, and I'm grateful for that. To have the experience of performing upwards of 1,200 times, to be able to share my gifts, to be able to share my talent with people all over the country for over 1,200 times, and still have a passion for doing it. You know what I mean? It's an amazing feeling. And I was talking to another company member yesterday, and she was asking me what makes me keep doing this. And I said, it just fits me like a glove. Like it just is what I do. I can't imagine not doing Giwayen Mata. The beauty of the sisterhood of the company feeds my whole entire spirit. I was raised in a family of women. I always kind of try to give people a glimpse into what it was like to, we didn't have brothers. There weren't any sons. Our dads were doing their dad thing. Uncles lived in other states or away across town. So it was a family of women. And so I've shifted from a family of women in my childhood into a family of women, in my adulthood. And it's just a beautiful thing to foster, to feel the love of sisterhood, all while being in the process of creating together, of leading together, of nurturing each other, taking care of each other, learning from each other, and using these dances, songs, and rhythms of the African diaspora as blueprints for what we need to do for ourselves as people born throughout the diaspora, because our experiences in the diaspora are so unique, and they need something very, very special as well.
So powerful. And what I love is that we get to also see today a little bit of that community, that energy. I mean, when you watch these videos, you just can't help but smile because you can see such power on the stage. And so, Tambra, will you tell us a little bit about what we will see today?
Yes. So you are going to see a piece that we call Kasa with People Speak. Kasa with People Speak. Kasa is a rhythm that comes to us from the Malinke people who live in various parts of West Africa. And this rhythm is done to encourage the rice farmers to keep working. We want the rice farmers to keep working because we want to be able to eat, right? Now, the reality for African Americans is that most of us are never going to work on a rice farm, right? We'll be good if somebody gets into a garden and, plant some carrots and some oregano. And we may need some encouragement for that. So Giwayen Mata has been exercising our creativity and finding ways to make the parallels into the lives of people that are born in this part of the diaspora. So we use this rhythm to encourage each other and to encourage our audience members. What you won't see in this clip is the dialogue that happens back and forth with the audience, where we're sharing words of wisdom, we're sharing African proverbs, we're sharing what our mom and them said, what our grandmother said, you know, what Uncle so-and-so said. So that's the part, that's the prelude to this, what you're going to hear. And this is a very significant piece because the women in Giwayen Matza are just multi-talented. We dance, we drum, and we sing. And this clip shows us dancing while drumming, right? And keeping the beat inside of our bodies. There you go, sis. Keeping the beat inside of our bodies. So you all will see a little clip of Kasa that we performed recently. We've been getting a lot more requests for video performances. And so this is one of our recent video performances.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tambra. We're so excited to see it. And please enjoy. Yeah. I love the hearts. Throw in a heart and a like and a comment in the chat. It is amazing, even on video, to feel the energy, to feel the community, and to see how the arts really have a physical impact on all of us who are watching. So thank you, Tambra, for that beautiful video clip for us to share today.
Sure.
We are so thrilled to have these wonderful panelists with us. Again, if you have questions for them, please feel free to drop it in the chat. We're going to take a little bit more time to dive in. And I think what is so interesting about seeing this screen is we all come to the arts from very different places and perspectives, whether it's classical, whether it's those who are interested in art collection, as Chris was sharing with us, whether it's dance. There are so many different ways that we see the diaspora deeply influencing every person on this screen in a different way. And I'm so curious, you know, as all of us are learning about the ancestry, about the traditions and the values of those of us who came before, how has that influenced who you are as an artist? So how has studying our ancestors made an impact on who you are today as an artist? Any of you all can feel free to hop in on that big question.
I'd love to.
I'll jump in.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Let me first begin to answer that by saying, first, in memory of the ancestor, Dr. Barbara King, one day while visiting one of her services, she had something in the message that's resonated with me since that day, and that is, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That being said, the arts are the whole concept of God is too large for man to conceptualize. But when experiencing the arts, you get a tiny glimpse of the gifts bestowed upon us that manifest themselves. And just if you allow yourself to just not look at the arts as entertainment or just for performance sake, you can, if you just open yourself to this, you open your spirit to it, you can actually feel and sense everything that's going on around you. As for example, I saw Chris Mosley played at Chamber Music at the Point a couple years ago at the City of East Point. They played many pieces that night, but one piece they played was so beautiful. I found myself, I had to leave the room. I was emotional. I couldn't be in the same space with that music any longer. Angelica, you know, I mean, even yourself, look at what you do on the harp. That is, it's magic when I watch you play. It is the most beautiful thing. Tambra, I saw Tambra at pre-COVID at a Weedy Brahma concert at Gallery 992. That space is it's a 10 by 10 space. It is so small. But let me tell you something. That brother played those drums, and that spirit hit that sister, and Tambra wore that floor out. You hear me? I was like, whoa. I mean, you could just feel the energy. It is the most beautiful thing. So I just wanted to say to anybody who's watching or listening to this, that if you're an artist, recognize that it's a gift from the Creator, and you are just a vessel. So you owe it to us, to the world, to just share that and be the best you can be at what you do. It blesses people's souls when they see you perform. I mean, so it's not about the money, it's not about the fame. Just do what you do and be the best at it, and continue to bless people, because that honors the souls of our ancestors. So that's what I just wanted to add to this conversation.
Yes, and you added, I love it. Can I get in here on this one? So you were talking earlier, Chris, about the aesthetics of Africa. And I like to share with my students how important it is for us to embrace alternative aesthetics to what is beautiful, to what is powerful, to what is creative, to what makes culture, to what makes community, to what makes who we are, right? And so by studying the dances and the rhythms and the songs of our beautiful diaspora, I'm able to see varied aesthetics of physical beauty, aesthetics in accessories, in hair, in color, in design of clothes, in the sing-song of a voice or not, of tonalities when speaking, when using different languages. I'm able to see the embodiment of diversity, right? Like people be talking about diversity, but diversity is when you really just can get into accepting even just your own stuff, right? And so being able to see that happen on Black women's bodies over and over and over and over again, when they're embracing the shapes of their bodies and the curves and the slim this and the long this and the skinny this and the juicy this, that, and the other, it's a beautiful thing. It's life transforming, right? And so when you take that shift in aesthetic and then you begin to apply it to other parts of your life, diversity is easy, right? Like you come as diversity, you walk in the door as diversity, right? And so a thing that I get from this work is I get to tap into these alternative, quote unquote, alternative aesthetics. And I use alternative in air quotes because we know that the aesthetics of Indigenous people around the world are very much the original aesthetics, right? That have been stifled. So in getting the chance to have glimpses into these aesthetics, it also gives me a sense of power in my work. It grounds me, you know? Angelica, when we started this conversation today, you were talking about the lands and the people that lived in these lands, right? You talked about the Muskogee Creek land. And I love seeing this blueprint of ritual of African traditions, right? Like being able to get these glimpses into it. And then also imagining what other rituals were happening here on this land, right? Pre-colonization. And then what were the rituals and what were the experiences and what were the things that we were sharing with one another through our bodies, through song, through art? What were we sharing with each other for hundreds of years once our ancestors of African descent, and I say our ancestors of African descent because so many of us have varied ancestry, right? Our ancestors of African descent were brought here. there was a lot that was shared. There was a lot that was created. There were a lot of things that inspired us to create certain rituals. And so now, as an artist, tying it back in, now as an artist, like, I'm very, very much interested in what else we can create with these aesthetics. What else can we create with these blueprints? What else can we create with these rituals that we learned about? What else can we create with this concept of agriculture and this concept of fertility and the land and the connection? What else can we create to help to heal our people here in these lands, to restore our people, and to perpetuate all that is good that we wake up with every day?
Yes, I love it. I love it. And really honoring what we know to be true in our bodies, what we know to be true of our history, and then how do we apply that to the future? How do we continue to push forward, holding the truth of those rituals, holding the truth of those values? I mean, I know as a classical musician myself, really learning the history of my own instrument was eye-opening. I mean, I just had never heard the truth of my instrument being from the Kora, my instrument being in hieroglyphics, my instrument being used for royalty of my people far before it was ever colonized and taken to Europe. And so I think understanding, unlearning, right? This process of unlearning some things that we have been taught to come back to truth, and then to take that as it guides us into the future is such a powerful, powerful thing for all of us. And I think, Chris, you have an interesting classical training as well. And so how did Black artistry kind of influence you in a space, that I've been in that is also, very traditionally white, socioeconomically has a lot of divisions? How did Black artistry have an influence on you as you were coming through the classical field?
So that's a really great question, because I think back to how important it was for me to even see Black artists on my instrument. So I specifically remember a defining moment in my musical career when Melissa White came to my middle school and played Winter on my gym floor, and I was just enthralled. She had just won the Sphinx competition, which I was so grateful for Sphinx that they would have a competition, and whoever the winners from the competition would then go on tour. And so as a young artist, I was then exposed to those things that most people would have never been exposed to at a very young age. And so I think often that even growing up in the classical realm, I understood what being a classical musician meant, but I think we get typecast into always being classical. And it was kind of a power struggle between the classical that I would practice on an instrument or in class, and all of the rap and R&B and blues and other Black music that I would listen to when I wasn't on my instrument. And it was kind of like these two things don't intersect when I'm learning them. But as a musician, I understood, and it was important for me to then bring all of those types of music to an instrument that I was told was for classics. And it was kind of like, well, who said I can't play R&B on my violin? So why not? Who said I can't play this rap song? And it's mind-boggling for some people to see it and experience it, because again, we are just taught to believe that it has to be this one way. And then we, being people of a culture that was stifled, is kind of like we're finding ways to use all of the things that we were taught here and take it back to what our ancestors knew way back when. So I think that the journey of being able to take what you have learned and apply it to new experiences for people is really important. And that as a Black person, having all of these musical experiences shouldn't have been so difficult if it weren't to say that I was taught to keep it stifled.
Yes, we are a creative people. That is one thing that is true. of us. We are a creative people. Think about the history of soul food. I mean, just taking the scraps, right? And creating delicious, incredible meals that would feed communities, that would feed families, that would keep us strong so that we could think of creative ways to create a new future for ourselves. And it's just so powerful, like you're saying, to say, actually, I can take this tool and I can make it whatever I want. There are no rules. I can create a new future for myself from using the tool that I know best, which is the arts. And that's so, so powerful. We had a question come in. For those who are watching, please feel free to drop questions for our panelists. We want to welcome those who are jumping on to Keeping the Beat here with our fantastic panel. And Maya asked a question. It seems there are a handful of widely watched movies, orators, or musicians that are the scope of teaching ancestry in some Black families. How can parents go about teaching our young children about our culture in a fuller and more authentic way? Such a beautiful question. How do we pass on truth of our ancestry to the next generation? Does anyone want to hop in on that?
Sure, I will. I think one of the first steps is simply recognizing that culture is what we are, right? And that we don't have to look so far outside of ourselves for that. Being Black is a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's a whole vibe. It's a whole experience. It's a whole thing, right? and we are doing this thing, right, called being Black all the time. However, we have been detached from from knowing what the characteristics are, being able to name the characteristics of what our culture is about, right? And then there are so many nuances that, sometimes we can't really agree on what it is, right? But that's okay, right? We look at the continent of Africa, where there are over 1,500 or 2,000 languages spoken throughout the continent of Africa. Everyone's not the same. It's okay. You don't have to agree. We have some nomads. We got some people that live in the same place all the time. We got some people who are matrilineal. We have people that are, you know what I mean? Like literally all kinds of cultures. So I would say step one is just recognizing that culture is where you are. And then I would think that another step is to be out and about in things, right? When you hear of, a music group playing somewhere, go experience it. When you hear of an art show somewhere, go take a look at it. Being in it is the best way to expose our children to culture, because culture is not a remote thing. It's literally what we are. And so when we're looking at and studying other people's cultures, we're literally just studying what they are, right? What they are. And they're probably looking at us like, why are they trying to study what we are? Aren't they something? Yes, we are something. We have a whole thing. I remember when my best friend in the whole wide world came back from Zimbabwe, and she brought some things back to me and my mom. And one of the things that she brought to me were some hand-carved candle holders. And she said, make sure you use them. Don't just put them up and let them be pretty, but use them because they're made to be used. Right. And so our culture is not something that is a museum that's supposed to be stored on a shelf. Our culture is something for us to be lived every day. So, Sister Maya, I would just say to get out there and live that stuff every day. Go for a walk, go over to the West Atlanta Watershed Alliance. If you live in Atlanta, there's a sister there that can take you on a powerful tour of the Bush Mountain area. And she gives such a wonderful synopsis of what it was like for the Muskogee Creek people, combining forces with the people of African descent in order to increase our chances at survival. Right? Like literally basic survival mechanisms, and being even in a place that's just nature, that in and of itself has a sense of culture there too. So dance it, sing it, rap it, walk it, look at it, hold it, praise it, all of it. It's all the culture.
I love that. And you're so right. Get out there and support. Really be a part. So when there are events happening, when things are going on, get out there and be a part of this culture that is happening to celebrate. And Chris, I know that you've also traveled, as you mentioned, many times to the continent of Africa. So I would love to hear, in your travels, what are some of those values or things that you've gained that you think are helpful that we could implement here and share with the next generation?
Mm-hmm. First, I would probably say for me, it was really the Jedi rule. You have to first unlearn what you have learned to create that space to learn something new. And this is the big stumbling block for most of us as Black people is going to be your religion. I'm not saying abandon your religion, but just ease up just a little bit to allow something else to come in. There's so much more to explore, but don't let someone else's religious beliefs block you from greater understanding of yourself. I mean, in my travels, I've been exposed. I've been in many sacred spiritual spaces, and I just open myself to it, and I learned so much. I feel honored to be in those spaces because if spiritually, if you're in the right place, you aren't even invited into those spaces. It's not something you pay your way into or walk into just because you're Black. So it's just one of those things. And for me, I just learned just the greatness of who we are. I mean, we are it. It doesn't get any better than us. This narrative they've written about us, this negative thing of the crime and the all this crazy stuff. And we always think about hair bonnets and things being ratchet and twerking and all these things they try to turn to a negative narrative. Man, this is who we are. Making it rain and all that. I mean, come on, those are things that's dashing. We've done it in Africa for centuries. That's nothing new. So once we have to learn to accept ourselves and learn to love ourselves for who we really are, then you open the door for accepting, learning more about culture. That is so, so, so important. Twerking. People go see Giwayen and some idiot will walk away from there and say, "Oh, they were twerking." They were not. They were not.
You are giving me life right now.
What we brought to the table, we let white people take it, mix it up, rewrite the narrative, and feed it to us, and then we have the nerve to repeat it like it's the truth. We have to learn better than that. We have to know. We have to really be able to see our greatness. We have to be able to see our greatness, not just in a physical realm, but in a spiritual realm. We have to be able to see our greatness. People keep talking to us about being minorities. We are not. You have to be able to see your own superiority. You have to walk into a room with authority. I don't beg for anybody's acceptance. I am who I am. When I walk in, people know I'm in the room. And I don't back down for anybody. So
I want to talk to you every day. Can I just talk to you every day?
Anytime.
You every day. That's what I want. You are so on point. I love that you brought that up about just the labels that we have even accepted and internalized. Like the ratchet, the ghetto, the this, the that. My best friend in the whole wide world. I talk about her a lot because she's so incredibly smart, right? Like I learned so much from her. And the other day we were talking about, or maybe I was overhearing her talking about just what it's like when people watch Hawaiian dancers. Ain't nobody saying that that's ratchet. That's all hips. That's all hips and gyration, right? So what's the difference in what it is that we do? Oh, because we're wearing something different? Well, they have on a grass skirt. And I'm not putting that down. I'm literally just, just acknowledging that language and colonial perspectives have turned us against our own cultures and ways of expressing, right? And it's sad. It's sad to me, but it's important for us to have these dialogues where we can uncover our truths and, like you said, Chris, unlearn some things. And that doesn't mean that we're going to like everything. We're not going to like everything that we see. We're not going to want to do everything that we see. We're not going to want to participate in everything. But let's, at the very least, just stop murdering our own culture, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you, oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I'm sorry. And not only with that, Tambra, not just that, but even sexually objectifying things, because like technically what Giwayen Mata brings to the table, if we were on the continent, you all would be topless. But it's not a sexual thing at all. And we have to learn to appreciate things for what it is and not, not objectify our own people sexually like we've been taught to do by the colonizers. It's just a backwards perspective. We all kind of got to shake it.
Absolutely. And I love that you're kind of bringing in this history of dance. And we're so excited because some of the musicians on this screen, including Chris, are collaborating together next month in a very powerful performance of Jolly Don Dansa. And I would love for Tambra to share a little bit more so that those who attend in July can understand what's happening, what they're seeing, and what the history of dance is that's being shared.
Sure. So Jolly Don and Dansa are rhythms that come to us from Mali. And there is a concept of the griot, the oral historian. There is the griot and the oral historian would be the person that keeps the traditions through song, right? So imagine someone singing your history to you, right? Like knowing your family, right? So they could say, Chris, the son of so-and-so, who was a so-and-so, who was the son of such-and-so, who learned so-and-so, who was the son of, right? So generations, right? This person, the Jolly, the griot, holds this information. And so Jolly Don is the dance that honors the griot, that honors the Jolly. And our version of Jolly Don and Dansa were composed and put on us by a wonderful musician by the name of Mahiri Keita. And we've been playing this rhythm in Giwayen Mata for over 10 years, it's gotta be like 15 plus years. And it's a beautiful rhythm. It's orchestrated on our company to be played on the djembe, on the dunun, the sangba, and the kinkani. What we're going to get when we put this together is we're going to get a little bit more melody, and we're going to get a little bit more musicality in the ways that it would be done, right? Because we know that the kora is a stringed instrument of West Africa that's used in Mali. We know that there are songs that are always being sung. We know that bells go with these rhythms, right? And so we're going to get a lot of that when we are collaborating, when you're able to hear strings, when you're able to hear rhythm, when you're able to hear voices. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I can't wait to do it. I can't wait to do it.
It is going to be so powerful. And Chris, I'm curious from your perspective as a string player, you will be there with an amazing cellist and a violinist. You'll be playing viola. And this is a really unique improvisatory opportunity. How will you be coming to the table to kind of collaborate with this incredible rhythmic power that you will have to collaborate with in July?
So we are really looking forward to the opportunity to kind of branch out and try something new, right? So we never get to explore these kind of rhythmic entities, especially when you incorporate dance into it. And so knowing, like, I have a background in dance as well. So I used to dance for like ballet and things of that nature. So I know that putting rhythm in the body and being able to show rhythm on a body is so much different. It's a different experience when you see rhythm being portrayed rather than hearing rhythm portrayed. You feel them differently. And so putting the two together for me is going to be really awesome. And I am looking forward to learning more about it and hearing how the drummers work and how we can support that. So I'm really excited about this concert because I think it's going to be super dope. Everybody come out. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Yes. Everybody come out, support. It is going to be an incredible collaboration. And we are thrilled to be at East Point City Hall. That's July 17th, again at 6:30. We will be outside on the greens. And you can find more information at challengethestats.org/celebration, where you can RSVP for free. It's free 99, y'all. Come on out. Evening, outside, get your lawn chair. It's going to be a wonderful time to celebrate. And so as we kind of wrap up our time today, I'm curious from each of you, what's kind of one tangible takeaway that you hope people who are listening can kind of implement? So when we're thinking about Black Music Month, we're thinking about celebrating the contributions of Black artists. What's one thing that you hope people who are listening can sort of take away and implement? And also let us know how we can find out more about your work. So I'm going to toss to Tambra first.
All right. So for me, a takeaway would be just to start by embracing yourself, right? To embrace what you bring to the table and what you bring to the table. You meaning is symbolic of us, right? So we were just one and the same. You and us. It's a we, right? Embracing what we bring to the table. You can follow Giwayen Mata on Facebook and on Instagram, and we can put our social media handles in the chat. I see Giwayen Mata is here in the chat. Also, you can visit www.giwayenmata.org, GIWAYENMATA. We are Giwayen Mata on Facebook, and we are Giwayen Mata on Instagram as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tambra. And those handles, again, you can learn more by visiting the Facebook page or all of the handles that were listed by Tambra or the website. So Chris Mosley, what's one tangible takeaway? And then how can we support you? How can we find you?
So I would say each person, I would really urge you all to go and find a artist that you have no idea about. Oftentimes there are a myriad of like Black composers that we as even classical musicians may not have ever known about, that it was important for us to go out and find, like Chevalier and Samuel Coleridge Taylor or William Grant Steele, which is a more notable one, but they all had such amazing contributions to the world of music. And there are so many out there who we still are finding. So it's important that you take the opportunities to search for something that may not be in plain sight. I guarantee you they have some amazing pieces that you will be like, oh my God, why have I never heard this before? So I am Mr. Performing Arts. That is a .com as well. You can find MPA Productions there. If you ever need music for any occasion, we are here to help. Even if you would like to learn about music and how to be a better musician, we are there for that too. Would love to work with you. I'm looking forward to it.
Love it. Mr. Performing Arts, he is your guy. If you need lessons, if you need a musician, find out more. You can find out more. His name is right there. And that is also his handle on social media. So please check out Chris and Tambra, who will be performing together in July. And so excited to be at East Point City Hall. So Chris Swain, tell us tangible takeaway, and then how can people find out a little bit more?
The tangible takeaway for me, I would say, would probably be reverence. Always have reverence for your ancestors. They're always with us, so it's important that we're always with them also. So just never forget that, and how important it is. As an artist, always put your best foot forward. do your best work. It's for your people. We all we have. We have to stop complaining about what other people aren't doing and look at what we're doing for ourselves. So just always put your best foot forward. Like I said, just reverence. If you remember people, keep them in your spirit. They got your back. They'll never let you down. And I'm at East Point. I'm in the city of East Point. Anybody needs to email me. My email address is cswain, CSWAIN, @eastpointcity.org. The other way you can contact me is come to this performance in July, and you'll see me there. And just come and tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, you were the one on that video. I need to talk to you. And I promise I have time for you. So that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely. Support with your feet. That is my tangible takeaway. Support is an action verb. It should have movement to it. It should have some type of let me actually move out of my home. Let me move from my pocket, my paycheck, to support artists of color. I mean, it really is an action verb, and that is how we build new systems of economics. It's how we challenge systems of oppression, is by continuing to always analyze our actions and use our actions to push towards change in our city and in our world. And so I am so grateful, so grateful for these incredible panelists. Please give it up in the chat. I see some likes going up. Give it up for our amazing panelists. It has been such a gift to share this time with each of you. And before we go today, I do want to share a little bit more about a few upcoming things for Challenge the Stats. So thank you again to Tambra. Thank you again to Chris, and thank you again to Chris. It really is a gift and a joy to lead Challenge the Stats and to be able to have these types of discussions. So whether we have a full house or just a few, we are here to be authentic in what we do and to continue to host these types of discussions and events. And we thank you for being active supporters today. Again, our next upcoming event is July the 17th. At East Point City Hall. You can find out more information by checking the links in the chat. In July, I will be performing alongside a phenomenal cellist, Kari Joyner, a Juilliard graduate, who will be in Atlanta for July 28th at noon. That is a virtual and an in-person concert at First Presbyterian Church of Atlanta. And later in our season, you'll be able to see a musical storybook series. We will be at the Atlanta Children's Shelter, where Alana Bennett will be sharing a book by Dennis Matthews called Bellow the Cello. If you've got kids, have them hop on so they can watch the virtual event that will be streaming from the Atlanta Children's Shelter on August 6th at 2 p.m. And again, it is such a joy to be here. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining us, for being a part of this discussion. Thank you, Jay, for hopping on and joining us. We are so grateful to be a part of this journey towards equity and change together. Again, if you'd like more information, please visit challengethestats.org, and we will see you at our next event. Have a great night, everyone.